I got asked to do this presentation, and I thought, how can I get you to come to my talk and nobody else's talk? I thought, well, clickbait always works, but I really hate clickbait, so I'm going to use it to my advantage and make something good out of something bad. So I've kind of tried to shoehorn some techniques that we use, especially in the casino squad, into being themed in aligning with clickbait. So some of them are better than others, so you just have to bear with me as we go through. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the right tools that we use within the casino squad and other squads. We've all seen advertisements like this on the internet about all these cool killer apps that you need to use. You've got to use them, and let's face it, you download it, you uninstall it a couple of days later because it's a bit pants. So we try to use apps that we all agree work with the way that we want to do things. We won't just pay lip service to some app that somebody tells us that we should use. We like to try and keep things nice and lean. I'll come on to that as well in a little bit. So none of this rubbish. We like to do remote working. We can't always be co-located. I'll show you a little bit more about that later. So some of the tools that we use to help us are making sure that we've got a calendar that's up to date. Everyone's got access, super simple. It's not Outlook, it's Confluence. Everyone can access it from anywhere. So we make sure that we all know where we're all at. And it's a bit of a thing where if you're going to be out of the office, at least tell us that you're going to be out of the office, then we can plan for it and we know about it. This is a really big one for me. If you're going to do remote working, you've got to accept that it's a culture change. And just because you're not in the office doesn't mean you're not working. So it's not out of sight, not doing any work. And I think if you work in a place where it's a little bit like that, people get a bit angsty about working from home. And it should never be that way. It's a bit of a culture thing that people need to get on board with. So having said all this, working from home's great, but remember, you've got to take a break at some point. If you're checking emails at 1:30 in the morning, if you're a bit drunk or whatever, not that I've done that, but I've done that. You just got to remind them, just take a break. You don't always have to be caning the emails, caning the Slack channels, but it's good that you can work from anywhere. So this is just an example of how we make things work for us. We can't always co-locate, but we do like to co-locate. So in order to get around that, we set up this space, got a big telly with a webcam on it. You can see the board, and I'll just do the daft thing of take a ticket off the board, hold it up in front of the webcam. Usually James or someone's working from home. James, what's happening with this? He's not missing out, he's got all the culture, he knows what's happening. He sees us all stood there and we're all working on the same board. That's gone a bit weird, but it's kind of sorting itself out. So this is just another example of a tool that we'll use to do our retrospectives. So this is really useful. It's Trello, if you don't already know. It's useful in that sometimes we've got a few sticky things to talk about, a few tricky things, a few sensitive things to talk about. We like to theme it up. We'll stick a GIF on there. Let's make it a little bit more light-hearted. What we found that it actually does, it drives the message home, but it doesn't hurt anybody's feeling in the process. You know, we're getting the message across. So I'll talk about metrics and time reporting. That was a bit of an issue for us last month, but we talked about it. We had a laugh about it, and the guys are resolving it. They're not doing the same thing they were doing last month. They're doing it right now. So I know I told you about don't always buy into the apps that they tell you you've got to use, and I realise I'm making recommendations here, but these are things that we do use and they work really well for us. You've seen me use Trello, you've seen a little bit of Slack there, Jira, Confluence, and begrudgingly a bit of Skype every now and then if we need to. So, talked about software tools there. I'm going to talk a little bit about physical tools, physical things that we'll use in the office. I've enlisted the help of one of our old project managers up there who's going to demonstrate how the flow of this board works, and then I'm going to show you what this concept actually looks like in reality. So we'll have a problem definition stage, we'll take tickets through prototype, validate, test, showcase, and decide. Then they'll bounce up and down these columns, as Rob's kindly demonstrating there, into the live done column, and then we measure things. So this board was born out of the fact that we've got three types of people working in Squad. You've got your dev guys and your test guys. I'm going to group them as one. Then you've got your guys that are doing UX and design and analysing problems that users have got. And then we've got a guy who sits on our squad and does measurement. And that's his whole job, is to measure what we've done, make sure it's effective. So we wanted everything on one board. And this is what's defined as the S board. And a couple of things on the side here, which I'll go into in a little minute. But this is ultimately what it looks like. and that's probably not in its cleanest state, but I had to rush to take a photo, so you just have to bear with it. I'm going to dip into a couple of these items specifically. Some of the ideas that we do in casino are a little bit wacky, a little bit wild, and that's probably down to my personality more than anything, but if you can take one thing away from you and you can use that in your squad or in your day work, I'll be pretty happy with that, so just bear with it. So, parking area is, if someone's wobbling on a little bit in stand-up, the ticket's getting talked about far too much, everyone's losing interest, starting to switch off, I take the ticket, I stick it in the parking area, and if you're interested in that ticket, you hang around after stand-up, we talk about it in detail, we don't drag everybody into that conversation that doesn't need to be there. Tool shed down here at the bottom left. This is just a place where things that we need on the board live. So we've got a bit of Tim Allen there just to represent the tool shed, for those that you remember that. We've got tickets in here like blocked, test, fire lane tickets, and we'll just take them out and we'll stick them on the board when we need to. I'll move over to the dojo. So this is where we keep everybody's avatar. So if you're not on the board working, you're in the dojo because you're honing your skills, you're practicing something, you're doing a bit of study, you're doing a bit of L&D, which I'll come on to later. Up at the top, you've got the stand-up tickler, which is oddly named, I admit, but it's become a bit of a tradition now, where we always end the stand-up on a morning with a fact or a joke or something light-hearted, something interesting. And it's kind of frowned upon now if I don't turn up to stand up with one of these things. So I've started to delegate it across other people to bring their own ideas, because a lot of mine are just about conspiracies and everyone's starting to think I'm a bit weird. So. And then Robson Green over this side in his extreme fishing is the catch of the cycle. And that's basically everything we've caught in the last 2 weeks of doing work. So this is what I'll come to on a Friday when we've just had retro, take all these tickets off and make sure things that we've closed in Jira have been taken off the board as well, and I can match the two up. The physical board should match what we've got on the virtual board in Jira. So this is all physical and virtual. Okay, so they're the tools. I'm going to talk a little bit about squad health now. So you might get these things pop up on your computer. Your Mac might be infected. Well, it's probably not. It's a bit of a fake health check, isn't it? The things we do real health checks, and we make sure we use the metrics that come out of the health checks to make changes to the squad. So we'll do a proper squad health check, which is quite a more long-winded thing. It's a survey of our metrics that we measure in terms of how do you feel at work? Do you feel like you're making a difference? Are you delivering at the speed you want to deliver at? And it's a score between 1 and 5, and we collect those every 2 months, sometimes every month, and we just reflect on what we get. So when I started with Casino, we were scoring about 2 point something. I'm quite pleased to say now we're scoring like 4.5, which is pretty good. But that's just good for me because I've got metrics I can work on there, rather than just saying, how do you feel? Feel a bit crap today? Well, let's put some metrics behind it. It gives me something to focus on then. Temp check, it's a kind of smaller, more granulated health check. And what we'll do is at retro, you come into retro, it's usually in a pub somewhere, nothing to do with me. You'll come in, you'll write a score 1 to 5 about how you're feeling about the last 2 weeks of work. You'll fold it up, chuck it in the middle, and at the end of retro, we'll add them up, all the scores, divide it by the team. We end up with a bit of an average score there, and that just gives me a feel for how people are feeling at the end of those 2 weeks. Has it been a bad sprint? Has it been a good sprint? If it's been a bad one, I'll maybe ask for a bit more detail. Maybe I'll send a proper health check out. Lets me get a feel for what people want me to improve and make them better for them. Yeah, it's a graph, sorry, but graphs are actually really useful, especially for me. So this is just the power of metrics, the magic of metrics. The message here really is it's not just collecting the metrics, which is what we do with Jira, but Jira's garbage in, garbage out. So that's another point. Make sure your team are using Jira properly. But it's what you actually do with these trends afterwards. So we measure velocity, we measure the average ticket size, we measure our efficiency. So that's, are we efficient at building things and testing things, or are things going back round and being rebuilt and re-engineered? That's not very efficient. So it's what you do with these metrics that matter. This is another slide really that just illustrates how we break our work down. So you saw the metrics there, the average velocity. Velocity is built up of different types of work. So customer value, compliance, security, BAU and unplanned. And these are just sort of some targets that we try to achieve so that we know we're not just building cool new things, we're actually stabilizing the product, developing the product, solving problems that, like Tom alluded to earlier. And that just helps me make sure that we're actually doing what we need to be doing. So last month, I think we went a little wild on initiative. We did loads of new cool stuff, but there were a lot of things breaking in the background, so we had to jump on those this month and fix them. Another great thing here is just make sure your teams have got visibility on roadmaps. It's just a great tool to make sure that they're buying into the journey, they know where the product's going. Most importantly, let them try and help with the roadmap, try and decide where the product should be going, because there's no greater way of getting buy-in than if you've come up with that idea yourself. A lot of my ideas don't fly, though. They're a bit stupid. Okay, so I think this is number 4. This is harbouring and promoting innovation. It's no snake oil stuff. It's just talking about how we get the best out of the people on squad, making sure that we get ideas to market. So we'll do tech demos, quite a lot of tech demos. We'll do a drink tank, which is an idea of we'll sit down at the end of the month, get a couple of beers out, knock up some ideas, throw some ideas out there, just get some really wild stuff going. I think the worst thing about a drink tank is if you turn up and you don't have an idea, anything flies. We'll do early UX and design demos. We'll do UX labs for all the teams. So a UX lab is, we'll go out there, we'll meet the customers, and all the developers can rock up to that and see what the customers are like, who are they building products for, how crazy are some of them, which has happened recently. Or, just gets a good bit of ownership there. I'm actually building a product for this person, this type of person. We'll do Tech Ninja, which is an SBG thing. It's £1,000 every year for any techie to do anything technical they want to do, which can help improve their skills, improve the products of the company. And we'll do L&D days. I'll talk a little bit more about L&D days now. So aim of an L&D day is we'll have one of these days every 2 weeks, and all the squad will just down tools in terms of delivering initiatives. And they'll do something that they want to work on. They'll demonstrate that. They'll learn new things. Output's always shared. Their skills are honed. We'll do some proof of concepts. And then out the back of this, we actually get products that go to market. So some of the things that we use in-house and some of the things that are out there in SBG's market world were the result of an L&D day. So just another nice thing that we drive home is the fact that we'll do code pairing as well. A proper code pairing where we get one driver with multiple developers. We can do 3 Amigo sessions where that's a BA, a tester, and a developer all elaborating a ticket together. We measure all that work in Jira as subtasks, so it doesn't get unmeasured. And the beauty of them doing that is that no developer has to fill in timesheets. It's all manually, automatically done via Jira, which they love, and I do too. Yeah, and as part of this, they own things to completion, so they'll start doing it, and they'll make sure that it goes from conception to delivery, and by that I mean an idea to being implemented live as a product. Okay, next one. Keeping it social, celebrating success. So this is kind of about no false hope, no fake prizes for milestones. If you hit milestones, we get prizes. You've got to celebrate who your celebrities on your squad. Are they doing a great job? Call it out. Call it out because it goes a long way. So it's none of this rubbish that we see on the internet. We do this with socials and rewards. We'll do appreciations, which I'll come on to in a minute. We have a squad celebrity. Like I say, you call out who's the celebrity. We hit agreed targets, which means we get to spin roulette wheels, which means prizes. So obviously we like roulette wheels in casino. We do now that rewards. So if someone's done a really cracking job, I think it's £200. Is that right, Tom? £200. Just don't have to have any sign off on that. Now that reward, whatever they want, what they're into. Books about conspiracies, maybe. And a beer fridge always goes a long, long way. So every Friday, we'll, about 3 o'clock-ish, have a couple of beers, just celebrate the week being over. Talked a little bit about appreciations. This one was relatively new to me before I came to casino. I think it's a great thing. At Retro, what we'll do is everyone gets 2 votes, and they get to call out 2 people from the squad to just say thanks for what they've done over the past 2 weeks. And it's a really nice thing. Everyone will go around the table and they'll say, Nathan, I want to call you out because you picked that ticket up, you nailed it, totally nailed it, you took all that stress off us. And what happened? Nathan's laughing because that's never happened to him. No, I'm just kidding. And what happens is the person with the most votes at the end comes in on a Monday, it's a little trophy, and everyone just loves them for it. It's just a really nice little thing to do at the end of Retro. And then we'll do socials, and Snape will drop his bag on the main clue in the escape room, which means a team of 5 engineers can't get out of an escape room. Okay, this is my final slide, you'll be pleased to know, because I think the pizzas might be just about here. So it's keeping it light and lean. So none of this fake weight loss stuff that you see on the internet. If it's not working, we actually strip it, we make it lean, we get it out of the way. So we do this by constantly inspecting and adapting everything we do, all the time. And this was because we have a very open and honest culture, and that's vital. All you guys on your squad should be able to turn up on a Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever, and say, that's not working, we need to change that. And then we'll take it to the group. So-and-so said this, what do you think we should do? Bring me a solution, or we'll work on a solution together. And we'll just change it. We'll just change it there and then. You've got to give your squad platform for discussion. I do this in the way of, I'm always around anyway, but on a Friday every 2 weeks, I just block out a lunch, and anyone that wants to come join me for lunch, personal, as a group, whatever, just come and have lunch with me, tell us what your problems are, and we'll work it out there and then. Find ceremonies that work for your squad. So this ties in nicely to all timings are subject to change. So we've changed our stand-up time quite a few times, but we finally found a time that works for everybody. You've got early risers, you've got late starters. Find something that works for everyone. All times are subject to change. And I've already talked about this. Make sure the tools that you're using support your ways of working. And that's it. And you might realise that wasn't 10 things, it was only 5 things, because I've clickbaited you all. Just to summarise then, the right tools, the right measurements, harbouring innovation, keep things social and celebrate your team celebrities, and keep it lean and keep it light. I hope you picked something up there that you can maybe take back to your squads or your teams, even if it's a little bit more light-hearted. We're all here to have a bit of fun at the end of the day, aren't we? So, thank you very much.